Introduction to life processes. When the word alive comes to our mind, we tend to think some sort of movement. For example, children playing in ground, plants growing, breathing of man, animal in sleep. But only visible movements are not enough to say anything is alive. For example, some animals can breathe without visible movements. For example, earthworm breathe through skin. Living organism is identified by alive cells, and alive cells are identified by molecular movements within them. Thus, molecular movements is the criteria used to decide if anything is alive. Viruses brings conflicting opinions regarding if they are alive or not, because they does not show molecular movements until they infect any cell. Life processes. Living structures are likely to break down and ultimately die over time. In order to remain alive, these structures must repair and maintain themselves, regardless of whether they are working or idle. The processes with which repair and maintenance is carried out are called life processes. Various life processes are: nutrition. Organisms need food for energy and growth requirements, which is obtained from outside of the body. The process of transferring food from outside of the body to inside is called nutrition. The food sources are large and complex. Hence, different organisms have different kinds of nutritional processes. Respiration. The energy sources are quite varied and hence need to be converted to a uniform source of energy that can be used for maintenance work. For breaking down these sources of energy into uniform source, series of chemical reactions on these sources are necessary. Most common reactions are oxidation and reduction reactions. These chemical reactions need oxygen that is supplied from outside with the help of respiration. Respiration is a process of obtaining oxygen from outside of the body and using it for production of energy in the body. Transportation. The products within the body need to be transferred at the appropriate place. To transfer energy sources within the body and waste to outside of the body, living organism uses transportation life process. Transportation varies from organism to organism. For example, single-celled organisms have cellular diffusion for exchanging the products. However, multicellular organisms have well-developed structures. Excretion. The chemical reactions within the body generate byproducts which are useless and can harm the body. Hence, these need to be removed from the body. This process is called excretion. In single-celled organisms, it is done by diffusion process. However, multicellular organisms like human have well-developed tissues to carry out excretion process. Nutrition. Autotrophic nutrition. The process of transferring food from outside of the body to inside is called nutrition. Different organisms have different modes of nutrition. Hence, nutrition can be broadly classified as autotrophic nutrition, in which organism prepares their own food, Heterotrophic nutrition, in which organisms depend on other organisms for food. Autotrophic nutrition, the mode of nutrition in which organisms obtain food in the form of carbon dioxide and water is known as autotrophic nutrition. The organisms which fulfills their food requirements with autotrophic nutrition are called autotrophs. For example, green plants and some bacteria such as cyanobacteria. Photosynthesis. Autotrophs convert carbon dioxide and water into stored form of energy, that is glucose, with the help of sunlight and chlorophyll. This process is known as photosynthesis. Events occurred in photosynthesis. First, light energy is absorbed by chlorophyll. Second, light energy is converted to chemical energy by chlorophyll and used for breaking of water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen. Third, reduction of carbon dioxide to carbohydrates or glucose. Chlorophyll. Some cells in green leaves contain green dots known as chloroplasts, which contain green colored pigment called as chlorophyll. Experiment to find if chlorophyll is essential for photosynthesis. Keep a plant in dark for 3 days. Plant use up reserved starch. And then place the plant in sunlight for 6 hours. So plant produce new starch. Take a leaf of that plant which have varying color levels. Keep the leaf in boiling water for few minutes. So the leaf becomes soft and loose. Immerse the leaf in alcohol and place alcohol containing beaker in water bath and heat till alcohol boils. The leaf becomes brittle and the color of alcohol changes to pale green. Color of leaf changes to pale yellow. Dip the leaf in dilute solution of iodine. Remove the leaf and rinse off the leaf. Because of starch produced in photosynthesis process, some areas on leaf becomes blue-black. This confirms that chlorophyll is essential for photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide. Exchange of gases, that is intake of carbon dioxide and removal of oxygen, can occur at surface of stem, roots and leaves. Tiny pores present on surface of leaves, called as stomata, are responsible for gaseous exchange. Large amount of water can also lost through these stomata. Hence, guard cells facilitates opening and closing of stomatal pores whenever needed. Experiment to find if carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. Take 2 healthy potted plants of same height and place them in dark room for 3 days. In 3 days, plant use up reserved starch. Place each plant on glass plates and place watch glass containing sodium hydroxide near one plant. Cover plants with separate bell jars and seal their bottom with Vaseline. Sodium hydroxide absorbs carbon dioxide present in one jar. Hence, there is no carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. Keep plants in sunlight for 2 hours and check a leaf of one plant for starch. The leaf of plant placed near sodium hydroxide does not produce starch, while other plant produces starch. Hence, it is confirmed that carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. Sunlight. Sunlight is also essential for photosynthesis. For example, if we keep a plant in dark for some days, then there will be no starch production. Nutrition. Heterotrophic nutrition. The mode of nutrition in which organisms rely on other organisms to complete their food need is called heterotrophic mode of nutrition. The form of nutrition differs depending on the type, availability, and way to obtain food. For example, type of food for cow is grass. For example, algae is available in seawater, hence fish eat algae. Similarly, single-celled organisms obtain food by diffusion. Also, the ways to take food in the body varies from organism to organism. For example, some organisms such as mushrooms, bread molds, and yeast break down food material outside the body and then absorb that into the body, while other organisms like human take the food inside the body and then breaks it down within the body. Some organisms like ticks, cascata, sand tapeworms derive food from other organisms without killing them, called parasitic nutrition. Nutrition in single-celled organisms. Single-celled organisms use cell surface to take the food inside the cell. For example, amoeba spread finger-like structures, that is pseudopodia, around food particle to form food vacuole. In food vacuole, food particles get converted to usable form and released in cytoplasm, and waste is released to outside with diffusion at the cell membrane. Surface of paramecium is covered with cilia, which moves food particle to specific spot so that it can be taken into the body. Nutrition in human being. Experiment. Effect of saliva on starch. Take 1 ml starch solution in test tube A and B. Add 1 ml saliva in test tube A. After 20 to 30 minutes, taste the solution for digestion using iodine solution. Observations. In test tube A, salivary amylase, an enzyme present in saliva, digests the starch and convert it to sugar. Therefore, iodine solution does not change color. However, in test tube B, iodine solution changes color to blue-black, indicating that starch is not changed. This experiment confirms that saliva digests the food materials. Human digestive system. Human body have well-developed structures called as alimentary canal that extends from mouth to anus and have separate parts to perform specific function. Digestion process starts in mouth. Teeth breaks down the food in small particles. Salivary glands in mouth secrete saliva, which weight the food and digest it. Salivary amylase enzyme in saliva breaks down starch into sugar, hence digest the food. Tongue in mouth help to mix saliva thoroughly with the food. Contraction and expansion of alimentary canal muscles moves food in forward direction. Food is then taken to stomach through esophagus. Gastric glands of stomach release gastric juice containing hydrochloric acid, pepsin, and mucus. Pepsin digests the food in acidic medium provided by hydrochloric acid. Also, hydrochloric acid kills the harmful particles present in the food. Food then passes to longest part of alimentary canal, small intestine. Small intestine receives secretions of liver and pancreas. Liver produces bile juice that breaks large fat molecules and help in digestion. Bile juice also provides alkaline medium for action of pancreatic enzymes. Pancreatic juice contains enzymes like trypsin for digesting protein and lipase for digesting fats. Small intestine secretes intestinal juice that convert proteins into amino acids, complex carbohydrates into glucose, and fats into fatty acids and glycerol. Walls of intestine contains finger-like projections, villi, which absorbs the digested food and water and mix it with blood for transport in body. Unabsorbed food is sent to large intestine, which is removed outside the body via anus. Respiration. Respiration is a life process that supplies oxygen for producing energy from glucose. In cytoplasm of a cell, glucose is broken down to form pyruvate, which is 3-carbon molecule producing energy. Types of respiration. Based on need of oxygen, respiration is divided into 2 types: aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. In aerobic respiration, oxygen is used to break glucose into pyruvate in mitochondria of the cell, producing energy. For example, respiration in human. In anaerobic respiration, energy is produced from glucose without using oxygen. For example, yeast cell. Energy released in aerobic respiration is more than that released in anaerobic respiration. The breaking of pyruvate molecule to produce energy takes place in 3 different ways. First way, in absence of oxygen in yeast cell. In this, the pyruvate molecule is broken in absence of oxygen to form ethanol and carbon dioxide, producing energy. Second way, in absence of oxygen in muscle cell. Here, the pyruvate molecule is broken in absence of oxygen to form lactic acid, producing energy. Production of lactic acid causes cramps in our muscles. Third way, in cells containing mitochondria. Here, the pyruvate molecule is broken in presence of oxygen to form carbon dioxide and water, producing energy. The energy produced during cellular respiration is stored as adenosine triphosphate ATP molecule and used by cell organelle whenever required. Respiration in plants. During day, plant need carbon dioxide for the process of photosynthesis. Hence, They took up CO2 present in air and releases O2. During night, plants take up oxygen in very small quantity and releases carbon dioxide. Respiration in animals. Different animals have different organs for respiration depending on their surrounding. For example, humans use lungs, fish use gills, earthworm use skin depending on their surrounding environment. Respiration in aquatic animals. The dissolved oxygen in water is fairly low compared to oxygen present in air. Hence, breathing in aquatic organisms is much faster than terrestrial organisms. They use gills to obtain oxygen from water and mix it in blood. Respiration in terrestrial animals. Terrestrial animals use atmospheric oxygen for respiration. Respiratory organs are very fine and delicate. Hence, these are placed within the body. Respiration in human. While breathing, chest of human body expands and contracts continuously. When it expands, air is taken into the body through nostrils, called inhalation, and when it contracts, air is thrown outside the body through nostrils, called exhalation. Air taken inside the body contains various particles. Hence, it is filtered with the help of fine hairs in nostril and mucus of the passage. Air passes through throat into the lungs through air passage. Throat contains rings of cartilage which supports air passage. Within lungs, the passage divides into smaller and smaller tubes, which finally terminate in balloon-like structures called alveoli. Walls of alveoli contains complex network of blood vessels, where exchange of gases takes place. During lung expansion, air is taken into the lungs, from which oxygen is absorbed by hemoglobin present in blood in alveolar blood vessels. During contraction, carbon dioxide contained in alveolar blood vessels brought in lungs, which is then released out through nostrils. Transportation in human being. In our body, blood, being fluid connecting tissue, used to transport food, oxygen, and waste materials. Red blood cells in blood carries oxygen. Blood plasma, a fluid in blood, carries food, carbon dioxide, and nitrogenous waste in dissolved form. Blood is pumped by heart so that it is transferred around the body. Also, there are network of tubes that are spread to connect all tissues and transfer blood to them. The pumping organ, heart. Heart is a muscular organ that is as big as our fist. In order to prevent oxygen-rich blood to be mixed with deoxygenated blood, heart has 4 chambers: left atrium, left ventricle, right atrium, right ventricle. The pumping action of heart is such that it transfers deoxygenated blood to lungs and oxygenated blood to rest of the body. During each cycle, since blood is collected twice in heart, hence such type of circulation is called double circulation. Process of double circulation. Left atrium relaxes so as to collect oxygen-rich blood coming from lungs in it. Left atrium contracts and left ventricle relaxes. Blood is transferred to left ventricle. Left ventricle contracts, forcing the blood to be transferred in whole body. Right atrium relaxes so as to collect deoxygenated blood coming from body in it. Right atrium contracts and right ventricle relaxes so as to transfer the deoxygenated blood to right ventricle. Right ventricle contracts, forcing the blood to be transferred to lungs. Valves present at the junction of atrium and ventricles prevent backflow of blood. Lungs. Lungs collects deoxygenated blood from heart and transfers oxygenated blood to heart. In lungs, exchange of gases takes place. That is, oxygen is mixed in blood and carbon dioxide is released out. Blood vessels. Blood is carried by blood vessels. Two types of blood vessels are arteries and veins. Arteries carry blood from heart to various body organs. Veins collect blood from various body organs and bring it into the heart. Blood exerts pressure on the walls of the vessels called as blood pressure. Arteries have thick elastic wall to handle high blood pressure. Since blood pressure in veins is low, hence these have thin walls. But to ensure blood flow in one direction, these have valves. Arteries divides into smaller vessels in order to connect with individual cells. The smallest vessel is called capillaries. Capillaries have walls which are 1 cell thick. Through this wall, exchange material between blood and surrounding cells takes place. Capillaries join together to form veins that takes blood from tissue or organ to heart. Maintenance by platelets. In case of injury, blood vessels get damaged and start bleeding. If bleeding is not stopped, then it may lead to loss of blood from the body, and also blood pressure may also reduce. To avoid this, blood contains platelet cells that stick to damaged area and forms a clot that helps to stop bleeding. Lymph. Through the pores present on walls of capillaries, some amount of plasma, protein and blood cells escape into intercellular spaces present in tissue. This fluid is called lymph. It is colorless and contains less proteins. It is collected by lymphatic capillaries from the intercellular spaces. Lymphatic capillaries join to form lymph vessels that are connected to larger veins and transfer lymph to it. Transportation in plants. Plants need carbon dioxide, water and other raw materials to prepare their food and for body growth. plants obtain these raw materials at specific parts. For example, leaves take carbon dioxide from atmospheric air. Roots take minerals from soil. These raw materials need to be transferred from one part to other. For that, plants have specially organized conducting tubes called as xylem and phloem. Xylem moves water and minerals from roots to body parts, and phloem transport product of photosynthesis from leaves to other parts of the plant. Transport of water and minerals. The concentration of water outside the roots is higher than inside. Hence, water is diffused into the root cells. This process is called osmosis. Compared to this, the ionic concentration inside the roots is higher than outside. Hence, to absorb ions from lower concentration to higher concentration, root cells require energy. Water and minerals collected in roots undergo steady upward pressure called root pressure, with which water moves to upper body parts. But this pressure is insufficient to move water to higher body parts. The loss of water in the form of vapors through the upper body parts is called transpiration. With transpiration, water and minerals are transported to higher body parts. It creates continuous upward suction, allowing water to be transported to upper body parts. It helps in temperature regulation, that is, excess heat is eliminated via water vapors. Xylem allows to connect and transport water and minerals from roots to all body parts, since it interconnects vessels and tracheids of roots, stems and leaves. Transport of food and other substances. Plant prepares their food with the help of photosynthesis. This food need to be transported to storage organs, roots, fruits, seeds and other body parts. The transport of soluble products of photosynthesis is called translocation. Translocation occurs in sieve tubes with the help of companion cells in vascular tissue called as phloem. Phloem also transports amino acids and other substances. At leaves, the food produced is transported to phloem tissue using energy stored in the form of ATP. Since concentration of water inside the leaf cell is lower than outside, hence water gets diffused inside the leaf cell. The food gets pushed to places where it is required. Excretion. Excretion in animals. The process of removal of harmful waste outside the body is called excretion. Unicellular organisms do this by diffusion, while multicellular organisms have well-developed organs for that. Excretion in human being. Excretory system of human being contains pair of kidneys, pair of ureters, urinary bladder and urethra. Urine produced in kidneys is transported through ureters and stored in urinary bladder, and then it is released through urethra. Urine production. In kidneys, nitrogenous waste like urea and uric acid present in blood are separated with the help of cluster of very thin-walled blood capillaries called nephrons. Nephrons have cup-shaped tube that collect filtered urine. The tube in nephron reabsorbs glucose, amino acids, salts, and water. Urine formed in nephron is collected in collecting duct, which opens into ureter. Ureter transfer urine from kidney to urinary bladder, which stores the urine. Urine is released out through urethra. Artificial kidney. Hemodialysis. In case of kidney failure, an artificial kidney can be used. Artificial kidney removes the nitrogenous waste with the process called as dialysis. Artificial kidney consists of number of tubes having semi-permeable lining placed in a tank filled with dialyzing fluid. The osmotic pressure of fluid inside the tube and outside the tube is same, but concentration of nitrogenous waste is more inside the tube, due to which nitrogenous waste diffuses from high concentration to low concentration, that is, from blood to fluid present outside the tube. This is how artificial kidneys are used to perform the function of natural kidney. Excretion in plants. Oxygen, which is a waste product generated during photosynthesis, is removed from the leaves into the air. Similarly, water is removed in the form of water vapors through the process of transpiration. Plants also stores waste products in cell vacuoles. Waste products are also stored in plant leaves that fall off the plant. Waste products are also stored in the form of resins and gums.